When the polls open in the Indian general election next month, it will be, get this, the largest election in the history of the world. 960 million eligible voters, and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is hoping to win a third term. But his critics claim he brought forward a controversial new citizenship law just a few weeks ago in an effort to mobilise his Hindu nationalist supporters. That new law has sparked protests, with many outraged that it excludes Muslims from citizenship protections. Amnesty International has condemned the measure as a bigoted law that legitimises discrimination on the basis of religion. From Delhi, we're joined by our reporter, Sachin Gogoi. Welcome, Sachin.
Hi, good morning.
First of all, how does this citizenship law work? Who is included, who's excluded from its protections?
Well, the citizenship law, which is called CAA, is a newly implemented law that aims to provide Indian citizenship to migrants of 6 religious groups who had entered India from neighboring Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan because of religious persecution there. These 6 religious groups that are covered are Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, and Parsis. Also, the law will benefit only those who had entered India by 31st December 2014. The BJP-led government says, through the new law, India has fulfilled a commitment to these religious groups who had historically faced hardships in their countries because of their religious beliefs. But critics, including the opposition, they say the new law discriminates against Muslims because they have been kept out of its scope. A section of the critics also say the new law is unwarranted because it will only provide legitimacy to continued illegal migration from some of the neighboring countries.
I mentioned that there have been some protests, sporadic protests in various parts of India in response to this law, Sachin. Have there been different responses in different parts of the country, north and south?
Well, there have been protests, but we'll have to understand that when the law was passed by the parliament, which had happened in 2019, the intensity of the protest was much more. Scores of people had died in violent clashes. But now, when we have reached a stage of implementation, the protests are still there, but they're quite subdued this time. In terms of differences, not all people are criticizing or protesting against the law because of the same reasons. In the northern part of the country, especially in states like Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, the protest is because of the fact that people feel this law discriminates against Muslims. But in the northeastern part, which shares border with Bangladesh, from which India gets a lot of migrants, the fear is because of the fact that the people believe this law would make it easier for people to come in irrespective of the religion. They believe that it will lead to pressure on the resources. In states like Assam, they are against any form of outsiders, irrespective of the religion the person belongs to.
So it's interesting you're getting real unhappiness being voiced outside of the country as well, in places like Bangladesh.
Well, India is not party to the 1951 Refugee Convention or its 1965 protocol and doesn't have a national refugee protection framework, although it continues to provide asylum to refugees from some of the neighboring countries. Now, India has created a domestic legislation that critics say misses the opportunity to create a larger framework for refugees, which would have been consistent with its democratic credentials and global stature. The US recently expressed concerns after the rules of the CAA were notified by the Indian government on 11th March. However, Delhi retorted sharply, saying concerns expressed about the law were misplaced and are unwarranted, as it is not about taking away citizenship, but about giving citizenship.
And just finally, Sachin, the Rohingya Muslim population has been a concern for many people in this region. How does this law affect them?
Right. The Indian government formulated this new law in such a way that prevents the Rohingya migrants from Myanmar, which shares border with India, from obtaining Indian citizenship. The BJP-led Indian government has been pretty open about not, letting Rohingyas into India. The BJP has often described the Rohingyas as a threat to India's national security, which is a narrative that is further magnified by pro-government media. So yeah, in doing so, the BJP is perhaps sending out a message to its core constituency that it's more serious about protecting the interest of the Hindus than any other community, for that matter.
Sachin, thank you very much. Sachin Gogoi joining us from Delhi.